Desi Williamson grew up in St. Louis with a lot of dreams like a lot of us have. He went on to the University of Minnesota and played football. He thought he might make it in the NFL. He did in a strange way. His life has taken a lot of strange turns along the way, but at the end of the day, this story is about someone who's persevered and feels very good about it. Desi Williamson wrote a book, Where There Is a Will, There's a Way, and the catalyst for it was simple.
Well, the motivation to write this book essentially came from an accident I had. About 4 years ago, I broke my neck in two places. I fell off of a ladder, and so I was laying in the bed. After 14 hours of surgery, I had paralysis. And so the doctor came to me before the surgery and said, listen, the only way that you're going to walk again is that we have to open you up and we have to fuse C6 and C7. So while I was laying there in the bed, I was feeling sorry for myself. So they hoisted me in a wheelchair and they rolled me around to get me out of that room. And as I went through the children's ward, which was on the same floor as me, I saw all of these kids, that many of them had terminal illnesses and diseases that would allow them to never leave that hospital alive. And when I saw that and I heard the laughter coming from their rooms and, you know, some of them playing with toys and many of them maybe not even aware of how sick that they were, but they never let how they felt determine how they were. And when I got back to my room that day, I said, you know what? You know, I was almost embarrassed because my self-pity paled in comparison to their inspiration.
The fall from a ladder had ultimately reignited a man who had prided himself as motivated and independent and self-made. He came from St. Louis to the University of Minnesota to play football.
And when I went on campus, one of the first people I met was Tony Dungy in Pioneer Hall. He was a freshman at that time. I was a senior in high school. And when I met him and some of the other guys, I just knew right then and there.
He stayed and began a career in corporate America, and eventually as a motivational speaker.
You can get what it is that you want. You can be what it is that you want to become. You can do whatever it is you want to do.
Combining that with his own entrepreneurial ambitions.
When I first created this logo here, these are the first words that came to mind. A friend of mine asked me, he said, what do you want your logo to be? I said, I want it to be like an explosion, like impact, you know. He said, well, you know, we'll design it out.
The product of a grandmother who raised him more than any other.
She never had a psychology class, but she sure knew about how to program me. And she put her arms around me and gave me some direction, and that's the lady that changed my life.
The product of a father who owned a famous nightclub for 33 years in St. Louis, and affected by the election of a president that changed his vision.
What it means is that it means hope. It means progress. I mean, think about 40 years ago, if somebody ever told me that becoming president for an African American would have been possible, I would have never believed it. We all would have said, yeah, right, well, not during our lifetime. Well, it happened.
He believes his message is geared to those who want results that are held back by the anchors that they allow into their lives.
And what I want you to do is unleash that spirit.
I think fear of being rejected. And most people don't understand that fear is a normal response. You just don't let it stop you from taking action. So there's one, I heard a guy say one day, it's okay to think about quitting, just don't do it. And so if people can just get beyond that initial fear to take action and understand, don't take rejection personally.
His business has included time in the NFL, working with the Minnesota Vikings on trying to find an edge.
So my thought process was, well, I know that each convention that I speak at for a corporation, they have a theme. And from that theme, that determines, you know, the tone and tenor of that convention. The power of one. We're all in this together. Let's make it happen. So I said, why don't each week I create a theme for that week? And around that theme, we create a template. And that template determines how we get the players focused for that particular week's game.
Do you think the fact that you competed in sports really helped you as an entrepreneur?
I know it did. It helped me in every aspect of my life because it teaches you how to compete, how to get knocked down, how to get back up, buckle up your chin strap, get back in there again.
And that's the idea for the kid from St. Louis that grew up with a dream.
People used to always ask us in grade school, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people would say, I want to be a fireman, doctor, lawyer, it could be whatever. But nobody ever said president of the United States. And that's one of the reasons why when that day came back in November, I had tears streaming down my face because for the first time,
being the president of the United States was also a dream that we could all realize. So I think the American dream represents taking yourself from wherever you are in life to where you'd like to be.
And that's the genesis for why I wrote the book. Everybody's got willpower. This book teaches you how to tap into it and how to use it. Where there's a will, there's a way.